So very good morning, all of you. Yesterday, we have started this particular chapter of bearing capacity, and we have seen the fundamental definitions of this bearing capacity like gross pressure intensity, net pressure intensity, ultimate bearing capacity, net ultimate bearing capacity, and so on up to safe bearing capacity and the allowable bearing capacity. We have seen lastly that the allowable bearing capacity that we can find out, that is the bearing capacity with respect to the shear criteria as well as with respect to settlement criteria, and based upon this we can actually calculate the allowable bearing capacity of the soil. Then we have seen several principal modes of failure like general shear failure, local shear failure, and the punching shear failure. We have seen. We have said the general shear failure happens in the case of dense sand. Generally, in a dense sand, the void space between the particle is quite higher. So when the foundation loads will come, first load will come onto this particular wedge, then it will laterally transfer. Since again you can see the void space is less, so again it is linearly transfer, and you will see the bulging over the ground in the case of general shear failure. If you see the graph, it will reach to the maximum and then it will slowly decreases. While in the punching shear, the commonly it is found out in the soil with the medium density. So the void space is much higher in comparison to the soil with the dense compaction. In such cases, you will find more settlement in comparison to the previous case like general shear, and you will get this particular smooth curve like this. As far as bulging is concerned, you will find relatively a small bulging in comparison to general shear failure. And then we have seen the punching shear failure. This is generally happens in the case of very loose sand or in the case of very soft soil, soft clays basically. Since the void space is quite larger, generally the load will actually compact or the settle due to the load, the soil will actually settle and the compaction will actually take place, and it will not be able to transfer to the other zones, other failure zones, so that no bulging will be actually visible on the surface. Then we have seen this particular graph on the single platform, and I will also recommend whenever this particular thing is been asked, you should draw the graph on a single platform to understand the relative comparison of all these three failures. So this is what we have seen last time. Now let us go further. Today we are going to see a theory which has been given by the Terzaghi, which is very famous theory. Terzaghi has given the basic theory of bearing capacity, and which is widely used, or which becomes the basis for development of other theory in, you can say, the practice. Like for example, what we have seen yesterday, this is, I'm supposed to say, my foundation. So this is my foundation is there. This foundation is having a width B, and the ultimate gross pressure intensity or ultimate bearing capacity, I'm supposed to assume it is a QU. This is my ground level, and from the ground level, this foundation has been put at a depth of DF. This particular thing is put at a depth of DF. Now, if you see, there is a overburden pressure which has been coming onto this particular surface because you are going to fill up this particular soil, because this is an excavation for the foundation. So basically you are going to fill up the soil. So the effective overburden pressure, which is coming at the level where you are putting the foundation, which is nothing but gamma dash into df, right? Okay. This is now, as the load is coming onto the foundation, I am assuming it is the strip footing. This theory is valid for strip footing case, means in the dimension which is perpendicular to this particular page, it is unity, right? So this particular theory is having certain assumptions. Let's see what are those assumptions. First assumption is that they are saying L by B ratio, means length of the foundation to the width of foundation is very large. It means I am considering plane strain problem, because since I am using a strip footing, naturally the length of the footing is much larger in comparison to the width of the footing, and that is why I am considering this is as a plane strain problem or the two-dimensional problem. Second assumption he has taken, that is the depth of the foundation is less than or equal to the width of the foundation. It means this theory is valid for shallow footing. Again, I am repeating, depth of the foundation df is less than or equal to the width of the footing b, means this theory is valid for shallow footing. Third, shear resistance of the soil for df, that is the depth of foundation, is neglected, which is self-explanatory, right? So this particular shear resistance is being neglected. Fourth thing, we have assumed the soil is going to fail in general shear. As you know, general shear happens when the soil is dense. However, in this theory, we have assumed this particular soil is failed in general shear condition. Since it is failing in a general shear condition, as far as shear strength is concerned, the shear strength is governed by Mohr-Coulomb criteria. I think you know what is called as the Mohr-Coulomb criteria, which is the combination of C as well as phi. And you have seen in detail what is called as the Mohr-Coulomb criteria in the chapter of shear strength last year or last semester. Now, please understand this particular failure envelope. Now you can see here, as long as this particular foundation is giving the load in a downward direction with ultimate bearing capacity of QU, under this particular load, there are three modes of failure will going to happen, whatever we have seen yesterday. First is this, that is called as the wedge failure. There are two zones which is like this, from here to here. You can see this is a 1. This zone I am talking about, and mirror zone is on this side also. You can see this. So these are the two zones which is called as the zone of radial shear, because you can see this is a radius. Can you see? It is an equal radius it look like. So it is a zone of radial shear. So there are two zones of radial shear, and then there is a zone of linear shear we're going to observe. When you see the angle of linear shear, it is nothing but it is 45 minus pi by 2. Here the angle is 45 minus pi by 2. Right? And if you extend this particular line, this angle will be, you can say, the phi. Okay, let's see. After this explanation, let us go further. And I'm supposed to say, I'm just supposed to give a name here. This is A, this is B, right? Then I will give, you can say this name is D, E, F, G, and I, right? This way I've given the name. And if you can extend it up to the ground, then the J and K is also comes into the picture. Now, with this explanation, let us define the equation for bearing capacity. So, if I take the free body diagram of this, this particular thing, if I take the free body diagram of only this portion, then it is drawn here like this is the your foundation, which is subjected to the vertical force of QU, right, or vertical stress of QU. Now at this particular wage, you may have two forces. Since you can say this foundation is giving the pressure from here, and there are certain zone is attached here, the zone of, you can say, the linear shear is there, so which tries to restrict the motion of this particular zone of wage. And so that what will happen, the pressure in this particular zone will increases. And as you know, the pressure in the zone will increases, you can take as a passive earth pressure. You have already seen in the case of passive earth pressure, you can say the load has been increasing. So basically the passive earth pressure is acting at this particular point on both the side. So you can see this is the PP, which is the component of passive earth pressure, and this is also the component of passive earth pressure, which is acting at an angle. This is, if I take perpendicular direction, then from perpendicular direction, which is acting at an angle phi, because this wage is also at an angle phi. Now one more thing which is going to act is, so that is a PP in both the direction. Also there is a soil here, so there is a cohesion force, CA force, which is also going to act in the direction opposite to the motion of this particular wage. Since the wage is trying to push in this one direction, so the surrounding soil will actually give the force in the direction opposite to the motion, so which is a CA on both the side. And if I found out the CA, then I will take this particular triangle. You can see this. I need to find out this CA value. So I will take this particular triangle. Okay. How will you find out? Suppose this is my value of phi. This value, you know, this is a CA value, right? This value, you know, it is a B by 2 value. Am I right? So you take the value of cos, you will get this value B by 2 upon cos phi. This is the value of CA that you will actually get. Am I right? And so on. If you take the tan phi, then this divided by this, then you will get the value of this particular depth. That is this. And this value comes as this one. Now, what you need to do is, you need to assume the equilibrium of this particular free body diagram, and I'm resolving the total vertical forces in this directions. So if you see, this is my pressure. Basically, this is a bearing capacity. Its unit is kilonewton per meter square. So I need a force. So what I will do is, I will multiply it by the area of this. So area is here is B into 1. So QU into B into 1, which will give you this. And my direction is downward direction. I'm taking, this is my downward direction. Now there is no other force which is acting in a downward direction. Then I will take the vertical direction forces, that is these two forces, which is 2 into TA, right? So I will take these two forces as twice this PA. So I will take this twice into PP, right? So which is acting in an upward direction, plus twice CA into sin phi, because I need to consider what will be the component of this particular force. Basically, this is the force which is acting in this direction. I need to find out the two components. One is sine, and the you can say vertical component I need to find out, and the horizontal component I need to find out. So basically, this particular component, if I found out, then this value will be twice into CA into sin phi, basically, right? This vertical component. So this value will be twice the CA into sin phi, and then this value will come if I take the other components. Now what you need to, if you resolve this particular components, then this value will come QU into B twice into PP plus BC dash sin phi minus 1 by 4 gamma dash B square tan phi. Now what they've done is, they've done the series of experiments. Basically, and they've divided this particular value of PP into the three basic components. First is PP gamma, which is nothing but it is the component due to self weight of the soil in the shear zone. PPC is the soil cohesion only. It is the component due to cohesion. And PPQ is the component due to the surcharge. So this PP is divided into three other components based on their characteristics. One is due to cohesion, one is due to density or a self weight, other is due to gamma. So in place of PP, I can put this particular value. So if I put this value and correlate, if I adjust this particular relations, then this relation will be like this. You can see if I'm taking twice into PP gamma, then I will take the term which is corresponding to the gamma, which is this. Then second is, this is respect to the cohesion. So I will put the term with respect to cohesion here, and there is only term which is remaining, which is due to the surcharge, which is Q, right? So this terms I am putting it. Now with the series of this particular experiment, empirically, they have found out, they have converted this particular term, like this whole term is being converted with the help of the experiments. Now this is not the part that how this simulation is being done. So basically this particular thing is being converted to this equation, which is B into 0.5 gamma dash B into N gamma, right? This cohesion term is being converted to BCNC, and this term is being converted to BQNQ. Now if you take this sum, then this value will be coming, because the BB will going to be cancelled in all the terms, right? You can see this BB will cancel. So this equation will come, the QU is equal to CNC plus QNQ plus 0.5 gamma dash B and gamma. You can take gamma B and gamma, that is also fine. Okay, it depends. I mean, whatever the value of density is that you need to take. Yeah, here we have taken the gamma value is basically this is the unit weight. Okay, if it is submerged density, you need to take the submerged density. That way. Now this NC, NQ and N gamma is called as Terzaghis bearing capacity constants, and he has given the table of this constant with respect to various value of phi, and how they have calculated with help of this particular formula. If you can see, N gamma is this, NQ is this, NC is this, and so on. You are here, if you see, only the variable is gamma, right? So sorry, variable is only phi, sorry, phi. This Kp is also varies with the phi. You can you have already calculated the earth pressure theory, you know that this Kp is also the function of phi. So only variable that comes is, that is the value is phi. Based upon that, you can, if you see, then you will see number of this value of phi. They've given the value from 0 to 25. They've given the value NC, NQ, N gamma here. Similarly, from 26 to phi is equal to 50, they've given the value NC, NQ, and N gamma. So you can put this value directly from this table for NC, NQ, and N gamma, and you can find out the bearing capacity value, right? For examination point of view, you need to remember the value of this phi, because whenever the phi is equal to 0, this NC, NQ, and N gamma value based on Terzaghi is not going to give in the examination. Otherwise, for other value of phi, either this equation will be given or this particular table will be given, so that for other value of phi, you can actually take the value of NC, NQ, N gamma, or directly the NC, NQ, N gamma will be given in the examination. But if suppose phi is equal to 0, you need to remember these three values. It is very easy to remember. NC value for phi is equal to 0 is 5.7, NQ is 1, N gamma is 0. So very simple to remember. So please remember for phi is equal to 0 for in the case of Terzaghi. Now I'll take some of the questions if you have, and then I will go further. I mean, if you need to attend, you please attend it. I mean, I don't mind if you want to attend sir's lecture. I do not know, right? If you wish to attend, you may attend. PPC is negligible. It depends upon the type of soil. I mean, what type of the soil it is, right? Already PPQ, how equation is being came, I have explained. Okay, now let's see this relations. Please don't write on the screen. Now, let's see. Local shear failure. So basically, when you can say this particular value will come, now you've seen whatever the value we have derived that is applicable for strip footing, right? And general shear failure condition. So suppose you need to find out this bearing capacity or the ultimate bearing capacity for local shear conditions. In that case, the value of C, which will be, you can take, which is 2/3 of the original value of cohesion, right? And the value of phi, that you will take like 10 inverse of 2/3 10 phi. So suppose if you have the value which is failing in the, foundation, which is failing in a local shear condition, you need to modify your value of C and phi, and based upon this modified value of C and phi, you are going to find out this bearing capacity factors and C and Q and N gamma and put into the equations. Okay, so this equation will be changed to in this way. You can see this 2/3 C dash and C plus Q and Q plus 0.5 gamma dash B and gamma. This phi value, you are already taking modified value, and based upon that you are finding out NC, NQ and N gamma, so that this value is not coming into the picture. However, the C is independent, so here I am putting 2/3 of C dash. So this equation is going to be modified for considering the local shear failure conditions. Again, it is valid for strip footing. Now, if you have square or the circular footing, let us go for this particular relations. First, that is for the rectangular footing. For the rectangular footing, the equation is given is this, that is C and C 1 plus 0.3 B by L plus Q and Q plus 0.5 gamma B N gamma 1 minus 0.3 B by L. Now, if you, in this equation, this is valid for rectangular footing. So from the strip footing, I have given the equation for rectangular footing. Now, if you want to convert this particular equation for strip, you can say the square footing, where your B is equal to L, right? So put this value here. So this B is equal to L. So you replace this L with the B. So basically whatever the equation will come, so this will be gone. 1 plus 0.3 is 1.3 plus Q and Q, you can see this. And if you put this value, this is 1. So this is 0.7, 0.7 into 0.5, whatever the value is around coming, 0.4 gamma dash B and gamma dash. So this is for the square footing. Now this equation, if you want to convert to the circular footing, you can see this coefficient remains same. Q and Q remain same. Only the difference will be here 0.4 is there, just a 0.3 will be happening. That's it. So but for remembering, you can actually remember this particular coefficient, how it is been changing from for the circular footing. I think we could understand 3 equations right now. First is this original equation, which is valid for strip footing. This you can easily remember, this is a basic equation, right? Then from this equation, you need to remember how to convert the local shear condition just by 2/3 of C, right? And the phi is equal to 10 inverse of 2/3 C. Now you need to remember this equation, that is a second equation I'm supposed to say. From this equation, you can easily derive this equation for the square footing. So I think this is no need to remember, or if you can remember, there is no problem. And then just in a circular footing, point 4 to point 3 will happen. So this 4 equation you need to remember to analyze this Terzaghi's theory. Now, this is very, very important, but I feel the time is very less. So we will discuss this particular thing in the next class, right? I'm just stopping here because now this will give you the picture for quantitative assessment of general shear and local shear conditions. We have seen yesterday that is a qualitative assessment. Now this will give you the quantitative assessment, how this general shear and local shear will actually identify. So this we will see tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining. I'm able to take few questions if you have.